Coming your way on the 49ers Report, I'm going to break down 5 trade candidates for the San Francisco 49ers now that minicamp is rolling on and training camp is around the corner. It could still be a busy offseason for San Francisco. We'll get to those 5 names. But first, Father's Day coming up right around the corner as well. Get your pop something nice for Father's Day and get them the most elite men's grooming products, 20% off and free shipping, so you can save yourself some money in the process by using that link at the bottom of your screen. It's manscaped.com/49ers. In a few moments, we'll tell you about a great deal from Manscaped. That link in the comment section and the description of this video. So the point of today's show, we're getting creative. I'm going to put on my general manager hat, and we're going to take a look at 5 players who could be traded by San Francisco with minicamp officially underway. And we start off with a very obvious name in Jimmy Garoppolo, who a couple months ago, we would have said that in the middle of June, Garoppolo definitely would have been traded. He's still on this roster, and he's rehabbing his shoulder surgery in Los Angeles away from this facility. That's what Kyle Shanahan said on the first day of mandatory minicamp when he was addressing the media. And he's been excused from minicamp, so he's not partaking in practices, and I think that's really good for the development of Trey Lance. The 49ers continue to look for a trade partner, according to multiple reports out there, and Garoppolo won't be able to throw until training camp. Now, what's of note is that Kyle Shanahan did say to the media that if Garoppolo is not traded, he does expect him to partake in training camp and practice alongside Trey Lance if he's not dealt. But I do believe that it's in the best interest for San Francisco to trade away Garoppolo. And these 5 teams still could make a play for Garoppolo's services. The Carolina Panthers, they have quarterback questions right now. Sam Darnold, Matt Corral, P.J. Walker on the roster right now. Houston Texans, is Davis Mills that guy? A lot of people within that organization believe that to be the case, and for a second-year quarterback, he's cheaper than Garoppolo. Seattle Seahawks, Drew Lock, Geno Smith, the top 2 quarterbacks on that team. Looks as though it could be a rebuilding year in Seattle. They might want to save some money on their salary cap and move forward with Drew Lock to see what he can do. Pete Carroll saying in the lead-up to the NFL draft that Drew Lock would be the number 1 quarterback taken. I disagree with that, but if they want an upgrade at QB, I think Garoppolo is better than Lock as well as Geno Smith. What's going to go down with Deshaun Watson? Jacoby Brissett right now is the backup. Is Watson going to play in 2022? Is he going to get suspended for half of the year, with more legal cases being pinned against him? And if that's the case and he doesn't play, could the Browns trade away Baker Mayfield to San Francisco for Garoppolo? And in the process, San Francisco would save about $7 million. New England Patriots, lastly. Mac Jones is, of course, their starter right now. But if he goes down, does New England have a reunion with Jimmy G? Bill Belichick really liked him. According to multiple reports out there, they wanted Garoppolo to take over for Tom Brady many, many years ago. Prior to the trade of Garoppolo to San Francisco, they've done business in the past. Maybe they do business once again. Now, if you want the 49ers to trade away Jimmy G, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon and like the video. If you don't want the Niners to trade him away and you think that bringing him back is good for Trey Lance or another reason, I want you to comment why. Trade candidate number 2. It's Trey Sermon, and I'll explain. I understand that he's a third-round pick from only a year ago, has a lot of ability and a lot of potential. Only played in 9 games last year, though, carried the ball 41 times. But since the Niners' running back room is crowded, as we're about to show you, a running back-needy team might come calling to San Francisco if they suffer injuries throughout training camp, OTAs, or minicamp, and they want to take a chance on a guy who certainly has some pedigree and a lot of ability and explosiveness and physicality. This is a huge offseason for Trey Sermon to prove that he belongs on this roster. Obviously, the Niners thought highly of him. They wouldn't have exhausted a third-round pick on him if they didn't like him. But back-to-back years, and this year, the latter, they went with Ty Davis-Price out of LSU. So this running back room is a little bit crowded. And you look at the depth chart right now, it's Elijah Mitchell, who was top 10 in yards per game among all running backs last year. Certainly has some flash to his game, has to prove that he can be a little bit more durable. He enters the year RB1. I'm going to put Trey Sermon running back 2 because I want to see him rise to the occasion, and he has the ability to be a starter in this league. Ty Davis-Price, I think he's better than Jeff Wilson. I think he's better than JaMycal Hasty. So in my opinion, he should be running back 3. You bring back Jeff Wilson on a 1-year deal, and JaMycal Hasty is back as well. The opening 49ers 53-man roster last year did feature 5 running backs, and if they decide to go with 5 backs again, then everybody makes the team. But Jordan Mason, the UDFA out of Georgia Tech, impressing a lot of people, and maybe he steals a roster spot, or if they want to keep him for special teams value, could one of these guys get cut? Or could Trey Sermon get traded away? You look at his numbers from 2021. We didn't see enough from him or of him. 41 totes, 167 yards, 4 yards per carry, and 1 touchdown. And you pair that and his struggles with the fact that Ty Davis-Price turning some heads, and he received this praise from one of the best NFL film evaluators in Greg Cosell. He thinks that Ty Davis-Price, TDP, could play a lot this year, maybe even be the starter. Here's the scouting evaluation of the former LSU Tiger. He could play a lot this year. He's big, athletic, he's got burst acceleration, had some neutral bend to him, definitely has a physical presence. He kept his pads low, finished runs with velocity and power. I really like this kid. I was in some ways, because I got to him late and didn't know what to expect, I was kind of blown away by him. I think he's got all the running back traits and an NFL foundational back, and to me, there's no question that over time, he can carry a volume load. You want to give him the ball 16 to 20 times, he can do that at 6 feet, 211 pounds. So with that, I segue to this. Who do you think the leading rusher for the 49ers is going to be in 2022? Your opportunity to chime in, sound off, and join the show. Is it going to be Elijah Mitchell, EM, Trey Sermon, type TS, Ty Davis-Price, type TDP, Jeff Wilson, JW, or if it's JaMycal Hasty, type JH? In 2 Sundays, Father's Day is here. Get ahead of the curve and get your pop something really, really nice during this holiday season with the premium collection from Manscaped, which features some phenomenal products. The boxer briefs will have your pops feeling really good for your mom. And the Lawnmower 4.0 is fantastic. Has versatility to it, like Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Deebo Samuel, multiple interchangeable blades, a battery life that lasts forever. It's also water resistant, so if you get it wet, you drop it in the toilet, all good in the hood. The nose trimmer is really good. You don't want your nose hairs just popping out. It's never a good look. You get ball toner, ball deodorant, and once again, those boxer briefs, straight up phenomenal. And Manscaped has a deal right now for the faithful, limited time only. If you go to manscaped.com/49ers, $95.99 is the price, and the knockdown from $121+. I'm going to put that link in the comment section and the description of this video. Don't get your dad something that he doesn't use, something that collects dust. Get him something that he actually utilizes on an everyday basis. It's a premium collection from Manscaped. We move ahead with our trade candidates. It is Samson Ebukam. That's Dre Greenlaw right there, but Samson Ebukam is the guy who could get dealt. Here he is, the edge rusher for San Francisco. And a big reason why Ebukam could get dealt, it all comes down to financials for the 49ers. Now, I like the player. I like the free agent acquisition back 2 off seasons ago. You paid a little bit of money for him, and you got some pretty good play, especially after the tail end last year when he really started to step up. As for the savings that would go down and what makes him a pretty good trade candidate, maybe even a cut candidate. He has a cap hit of $8.2 million in 2022, but only a dead cap hit of $1.75 million. And teams in the NFL are always looking for edge rushers. That is a position that is a premium asset on any ball club. And if you're thin there in today's pass-happy NFL, that's certainly a problem because you have to generate pressure on the quarterback for your back end, your linebackers and your secondary to have any chance of coming through with some stops. And Ebukam is a really good player. His numbers last year, pretty solid. 38 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 11 quarterback hits, and 5 sacks. And a lot of this damage came after the midway point of the year. Samson Ebukam, really good edge rusher, and I'd like to see him come back to this 49ers roster because in year 2, I think he'll be able to maximize his ability on this defense given the depth and the talent level of it, but a trade candidate indeed because a team might get desperate and blow the 49ers away with an offer, and in doing so, San Francisco can save some cash. Rank the 49ers defensive line in the NFL all the way from 1 to 32. You're good, Marsh. Scale it for me from 1 to 32 in the comment section. 32 teams in the NFL. I think there's no question that San Francisco will have a top 5 defensive line, but you let me know where they'll rank in 2022. While you're down there getting those comments in, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Closing in, getting ever so close to 60,000 subscribers. A big reason we've been able to grow our audience so much is because I took over as the host around the NFL draft last year. I'm just kidding. But since then, we have picked up nearly 30,000 subscribers in a little more than a calendar year. And honestly, a big reason we've been able to grow: free daily videos, news, rumors, free agency, draft coverage. When the season gets going, we're pushing out multiple videos every single day. Make sure you hit that red subscribe button down below, or let this video roll in a separate browser. Head to youtube.com/49erstv. Now, we gave you a preview earlier when we showed you this picture of Dre Greenlaw. Now he's up on your screen officially because we got to talk about him. Now, throughout this offseason, he's been rumored to be a sexy trade player for a lot of teams in the NFL because, frankly, he's a really good linebacker. Now, he wasn't able to showcase his skills as much last year because he was injured. But if he's right, he gives the 49ers arguably the best linebacking trio in the NFL. You have the all-pro in Fred Warner. You have an excellent big play game changer in Azeez Al-Shaair, who I think was phenomenal last year. And you have Dre Greenlaw. If you were to trade him away, you could also save some money. But the thought here is that Greenlaw going to be an unrestricted free agent in 2023. So if you don't have plans to bring him back, because you might have to also pay Azeez Al-Shaair, who you had to exercise a tender on, then maybe you trade him away and you get some really good value back. Last year, only a couple games played. He did have that pick six off Jared Goff in week 1 against the Detroit Lions, and late in the year was able to make his return and play a little bit in the playoffs. 21 tackles, and all the numbers somewhat missing. Again, that's because he was injured, though. Dre Greenlaw has shown the propensity for making big plays, for being a big play linebacker. He's a very good backer in this league. And again, a team, and really the overall arcing process and thought here throughout today's video, if an injury happens on another team, if a team gets desperate at a certain position group, the Niners have the depth to trade somebody away. Dre Greenlaw could be one of those trade candidates to get you some good draft capital back or some players back, especially if you don't have plans of re-signing him. What would you do with Greenlaw? I'd like to keep him because I like having good players on the team, and I don't think he's going to cost a ton. T for trade, K for keep. I'm fielding all of your responses in the comment section right now. I want to hear from everybody watching. Lastly, how can we get through a trade video without talking about Deebo Samuel because of the trade demand that he sent to the front office and the continued trade rumors around Deebo right now? Yes, he did report this week to mandatory minicamp, but does that mean that everything is good and all is good in the hood G between Deebo and San Francisco? According to Jeremy Fowler, a lot of room to make up with some of these contract talks. Fowler saying this week: Deebo is technically back, but the situation has remained mostly status quo in recent weeks. The trade request still hangs out there. Haven't heard anything about tangible progress on the contract front. The 49ers have projected optimism, but clearly there is work to be done. I don't think it makes any sense to trade away Deebo Samuel. I think with a young quarterback in Trey Lance, it's great to lock him up to a contract extension because you want Trey Lance to be able to hand the football off to Deebo and throw to one of the most elite weapons in the NFL. And if a trade were to happen for Deebo, would have made the most sense when he made that trade request right before the NFL draft, and a trade before the draft or during the draft would have made the most sense because that's when you could have drafted his replacement and maximized the value. At this point, trading him away, you won't be able to make your selection for a Deebo Samuel replacement, and I'm not sure the market is what it once was. Now, a team like the New York Jets, they're looking for a number 1 wide receiver for Zach Wilson. Maybe they decide to just mortgage the farm for Deebo, but I think a trade would have made sense back in April as compared to now. And you look at the previous history of how the 49ers have done business. Fred Warner last year, George Kittle the year before that, they handed out these contract extensions in July as well as August. I expect a similar path for Deebo here over the next few weeks. A tough decision, 419. What would you do with Deebo Samuel? P for pay him, sign him to a long-term contract extension to pay him anywhere between $25 and $30 million per year, or would you trade him away and try to get some players and draft picks back? Let me know. Be the GM, be John Lynch, and get that comment section flowing.